Hello, welcome, and look at us actually coming back after a 2-week hiatus. My name is Erick Oriana. Welcome to Hockey Specific Revision. And you know what, Miguel, I love these type of shows because we don't know what we're doing. It's been 2 weeks. It's been too long for us to take a break and not do this. But hey, the holidays came. Both of us work a lot, but now we're back. So good for us. Am I right?
Great for us, I would say. I agree. We needed a little break. You know what I mean?
And for those watching this on YouTube, look at you in your new reverse retro jersey.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Well, let's get the rating on this, Miguel. What do we got? What quality do we have? Do we have the Fanatics version? Do we got the Adidas version?
Oh, it's Adidas all the way, brother.
Is it?
I don't think I can't.
I wish we could have the glow in the dark right now, but I guess completely black screen wouldn't be that great. Why are there tags still on it?
I literally just threw it on right now. I have.
You had zero time.
I ripped it out of his bag literally right before recording.
You had zero time to take off the tags, eh?
And this way, if anyone asks me, is that Adidas or Fanatics? I'm like, right
Isn't there a tag at the bottom of the jersey that's supposed to tell you that?
No. Well, I think the Fanatics one has a tag at the bottom. This one doesn't have a tag at the bottom.
Do those have fight straps? I don't think I own an Adidas jersey, to be honest.
It does have a fight strap. So if anyone try to fight me on this one,
they can't pull the jersey over your head.
They're not getting that off of me, buddy.
Miguel, you don't know what we're recording because we're just kind of shooting this off the shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have a strict time limit as we normally do. So why not come back at it, Miguel? We're gonna take a journey.
Okay.
We're gonna take a ride across the NHL because, as we all know, what does everyone love to say around Thanksgiving?
Who's in for the playoffs, right?
Because 80% of the time they're in, unless your name is the Las Vegas Golden Knights from last year. There's the exception. There's the exception.
We were handily in last year at Thanksgiving,
and then you were handedly out by the end of the regular season.
I wouldn't say handily out. We're out by 3 points.
Yeah, but for you, it was like 2 weeks of slow death. Never forget that.
Oh my God. Fuck. I don't even want to talk about it, man. If they could just score on any shootout, on any single shootout, they would have been in the playoffs.
Yeah. Right. Recently, they won a shootout, so maybe
they would have gotten demolished. They would have gotten demolished in playoffs last year. So
Miguel, I'll let you choose. Where do you want to start? East or West? Atlantic, Metro, Central, Pacific? What do you want?
Let's start with the worst division in the NHL, the Atlantic.
The stupid Atlantic.
Yeah.
All right, currently in the top three, and then we'll tackle the wild card later. But in the top three in the Atlantic, we got the Boston Bruins, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and the defending Eastern Conference champions 3 times in a row, Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's start off with Boston, Miguel. Okay. Most recently played your Las Vegas Golden Knights and won in a shootout with no Jack Eichel or Alex Pietrangelo.
Pietrangelo, yeah.
How do we feel?
I feel great.
Yeah, you do.
We were missing literally our best forward and best defenseman and beat them.
Yeah, it's interesting because considering the kind of start that Boston has, I think they went 14 straight home games to start the year undefeated. They finally lost one, albeit in a shootout, so it's not really a real loss.
And Boston had a power play in overtime, and I thought for sure it was over.
Oh, like 9 times out of 10, you get a 4-on-3 power play, it's over.
It's over, exactly.
But I don't know, I kept hearing that this is kind of more or less like a last stand situation for the Boston Bruins, you know what I mean? Their cap situation is kind of structured in a way where David Krejci and Patrice Bergeron took lower deals with a lot of bonuses. So if any bonuses they do get carries over the cap next year, and who cares? That's next year's problem. But they got Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak is playing better than ever. Charlie McAvoy's back. They kind of had a bunch of injuries start off the year, having those guys missing, but they're back. They're back and they look good. I'm surprised that they're first place in the league, basically, right?
They're first place in the league. They're amazing. They're good. They're the real deal. They are the real deal.
I am glad we didn't do a season's prediction stuff because my hot take would have probably been Boston being out of the playoffs. And boy, would I have been wrong. But I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Jim Montgomery's coming to the new coach. Bruce Cassidy went over to you guys. So there's a little bit of change, but I don't know. Like, I'm genuinely interested to see what Boston's going to do because it does feel like it's the finality of this core that they have. You know what I mean? They did reach the Stanley Cup final 3 years ago, and that's cool. They've been kind of a perennial playoff team for a while, but not a lot of success other than that Stanley Cup final run. So it'll be interesting to see like what kind of send off Patrice Bergeron and maybe David Krejci get because they're not getting any younger and they've only signed 1 year deals. So who knows if they're going to do this again one last time, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of all this, Miguel, we're going to go through all these teams. We'll see. We'll talk about who we think is going to be in and who's going to be out, and then who out of the playoffs has the best shot of making it back in. So over to the second place Toronto Maple Leafs. I think the Leafs are kind of who we thought they were. There's a lot of baggage with that team. Though.
They started out the season really rough, but they got it together. They're 7-0-3 in the last 10 games. That's
so
pretty impressive.
10 game point streak.
Yeah.
But doesn't this feel like just the exact same shit though as last year and the year before that?
Oh, the Atlantic is gonna end up being the same, I think, just in different order, but it's gonna be the same teams for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems like it's the same thing every goddamn year. Like I don't know, and I also don't know how they get over the hump. I don't know how
Detroit's right there, but I just don't think Detroit can get in the top 3 spots. They're in the wild card spot right now, I believe, and they may maintain it. But I don't think they're going to get into one of the top 3 positions. I don't think they're going to knock out Tampa, Boston, or Toronto.
Yeah, those 3 teams seem the most sense. But let's focus on Toronto, buddy. You're jumping ahead of me a little bit.
Toronto's good.
Austin Matthews still good. Mitch Marner still good.
Goaltending has been much better as of recently.
It has. With 2 guys you wouldn't really suspect it was Matt Murray and Samsonov, and they kind of weathered the storm with those 2 guys being out. I don't know.
Can they maintain it? We'll see.
Well, they'll maintain it. They'll be fine during the regular season. It's the playoffs that anybody cares about, and for good reason. Like I don't know what else you buy into this team. They don't have a lot of cap space. They probably need another winger. They probably need more defense because half their decor is out right now. But they're like the most fine, consistent team there is. But because of who they are, fine isn't kind of good enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then third place, Tampa Bay Lightning. There's not a lot to say here.
No, it's Tampa. You think every year you're like, this is the year they fall off, and they haven't fallen off.
No, you keep thinking this is the year they're going to fall off.
That's true. I do keep.
These guys are a machine. They will never fall off. Not as long as the core is there, and they can make a bunch of changes so they want. But consistency, it's opposite of Toronto. This is a good blue and white team. Everything around the core can change, and they'll be okay. But as long as they got Stamkos, Kucherov, Hedman, Vasilevsky, this team is going to be good. And they'll be good in the playoffs. How far they make it, I think it's up to them. Like they lost to a good Colorado team last year. It's just inevitable. I know I said it and I got it wrong during the finals last year, but they do feel like Thanos. They are eventually just gonna be there, and you're gonna have to beat them. And it doesn't matter if they're a wild card team or a division winner.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's move over to the Metropolitan. Miguel, surprise, surprise. First place, you got the New Jersey Devils. What do we think?
So throughout the season, I'm like, this just cannot maintain. They're not for real. They're fakers. They're gonna fall out. I'm wrong. They're for real. They're 8-1-1 in their last 10. This team's legit. They're for real. Nico Hischier, number 1 draft pick, finally clicking. Jack Hughes, number 1 draft pick. He's been good. We know he's been good. He's showing that he's good.
Jesper Bratt. sixth round
for
pick.
Brad,
Might be one of the best sixth round picks of all time.
He's came out of nowhere. He's fucking tearing it up this season. So no, I think New Jersey's for real. Whether they'll make a deep cup run, we can talk about that later. But I think they're safely in the playoffs, I believe.
They're that kind of young team that you're been waiting for them to take a step forward since maybe Taylor Hall took them to the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But it's hard to not make the playoffs when you win more than 10 games in a row in a season.
They are 8 points ahead of the team behind them with the same games played. I think, and I know it's still early. We're about almost at a third way through the season. I think they're in. I don't think they're falling out.
No, they're not going to fall off. Fun fact, over 30 teams in the NHL have won more than 10 games in a season. Only 2 of them have ever missed. One of them was the Philadelphia Flyers a couple years ago. The other one, not surprisingly, Buffalo Sabres, who also had a 10-game losing streak in that same year. Classic Buffalo. But dude, Jack Hughes is so fucking good. You could see him taking that next step this whole goddamn season. Like that whole up and down, those forward lines are really good and really young. So it'll be interesting to see how they match up with someone who's a little bit older, like the number 2 team in that division right now, the Carolina Hurricanes. Talk about another team that's 4 lines deep. Another team that just feels a lot like Toronto. You know what I mean? Like it can't get over the hump. It's gotten to the second round a couple of times. It got to the conference final that one year where no one had them pegged in that position. But here they are. Their defense is pretty deep. With Brady Shea, they added Brent Burns as a good offensive defenseman. Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, Svechnikov.
Get Max Pacioretty on there.
Yeah, they're doing that without Max Pacioretty, who should come back in a month or two, but I don't think they need to rush it at all. They can just wait until he's ready to go. It's goaltending. Can they stay healthy? Because again, their guys aren't good. They're injured a lot, but they have a young guy, Peter Kochetkov, who's been looking pretty solid. He won the AHL championship with the Chicago Wolves last year. So, I mean, you look at them on paper, they're pretty deep, but it's how are they going to match up in the playoffs? Because we saw them against the Rangers where they were heavily favored. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, especially when you're expected to do stuff year after year.
This is going to sound crazy considering they're second in the Metro. But I feel like Carolina has been a bit underwhelming this season.
I think they're just under the radar.
I don't think they're wowing us like they have in the past. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, they're a little, I don't want to say stale and boring, but you go with signing Tony DeAngelo one year to the start of the storm surge a couple years after that. Like they've had kind of like big themes and they're just kind of, we know who they are. We know the Carolina Hurricanes. They're in the same spot they were last year and the year before that and the year before that.
The one thing about Carolina, looking at on paper, and the same thing about Toronto, and I didn't mention this, the big reason that they're in a playoff spot, I wouldn't say Carolina is comfortably in the playoff spot. Toronto is because when they lose, they manage to take it to overtime. So they're at least getting a point. They have 5 overtime losses. Toronto has 6. And at the end of the season, it matters a lot. If you're gonna lose, get it to overtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we saw that with Florida last year. Like that's what they were the king of. Like if you're gonna lose, don't do it in regulation.
Even the Canes as well. Like that's what edged them out over Vegas too, because Vegas had like almost no overtime losses, and Canes had a good amount of overtime losses. And
up until the end of the year, where Vegas only had shootout losses.
It's true. But I mean that's the sign of a good team that you're able to claw back, hang in there enough, and get a point when maybe you don't deserve it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And the next team on here in the Metro, the New York Islanders, the kings of the comeback. Actually, they lead the league in coming back from behind for 2 goals or more. Surprisingly enough, they got a new coach. They're basically the same built Islanders. They didn't really have any major additions. Sorokin is still a good goalie. You have a good goalie, you have a good chance to win.
The reverse Vancouver,
basically.
But they have no overtime losses.
Nope, they're a clean 16-10. So, I mean, is New York are the Islanders surprising to you that they're as good a position as they are currently?
Yeah, I mean, Islanders are just so boring. They're not great. They're not bad. They're just there. You know what I mean? Like, I don't hate the Islanders, but they're not an exciting team to watch. They don't really have much exciting players. They're just a team that, for the longest, fundamentally just played well as a team.
They are team.
Yeah,
They are team.
that was Carolina for the longest too. I feel
just 4 lines team, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Carolina, I don't know. Outside of Matthew Barzal, like Carolina has names. They got Aho, they got people, but I can definitely see the similarity of like they just play like team hockey. Like when they were under Barry Trotz, like that's how they made it to the conference final in back-to-back years.
No one's really talking about Barzal. No one's talking about Brock Nelson. You know what I mean? Like,
but it's hard. They're in that same area as the Rangers, who have sexy pieces, and the Devils, who are nothing but young kids and are good.
Yeah.
So I could see how they're going to get overlooked in that area, but man, it's kind of crazy to look at it right now because I think this is the first time you're realizing it. But New Jersey, New York, the Islanders are in. Rangers currently not in a playoff spot. Honestly, kind of insane.
That is correct.
Miguel, the wild card teams, Pittsburgh and Detroit. That sounds about right. I don't think there's any surprises there.
Barely in. Florida, New York looking through the window from the outside.
So out of these 8 teams, out of Boston, Toronto, Tampa, New Jersey, Carolina, the Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Detroit, who falls out?
I'm going to give you 2 answers. Because I have 2 teams that I think will fall out. Detroit Red Wings.
Okay.
They're young. They got the raw talent. But this is not the year they make it.
Their goaltending is still suspect, but it's been better with Uso.
Yeah.
I still don't trust it.
And the other team, maybe call me crazy, but you know what I mean? We're here for some crazy, bold predictions, right?
That's your specialty.
I think Carolina falls out. I think they're going to fall out. I think like I said, they've been kind of under the radar, kind of unspectacular. I think Islanders will stay steady where they're at. I think Pittsburgh will push up the ranking because like Letang's coming back real soon. Apparently, he's been skating and practicing. I mean, scary stuff for Letang. Maybe it's better he retires, but
no, he's a hockey player, tough.
I mean,
it is great that they caught so for those who don't know, Chris Letang out for a while because he suffered a stroke.
Yeah.
Luckily they caught it early, but that stuff is scary. It is interesting because I think that's the take I've seen a lot. Like, you've won 3 Stanley Cups, you've made a shit ton of money.
I mean, there's no historical reasons that like hockey causes strokes, like nothing like that. I'm sure it doesn't help. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, this is also the second one he's had.
Yeah,
he had
exactly.
one back in 2014, if I remember correctly.
So it's scary stuff. Like while hockey taking hits may not cause seizures, I'm sure they don't help. You know what I mean?
No. But he's already done light skating, Miguel, so he's coming back eventually.
Yeah, he's coming back eventually, and he's a big part of it. So, and they're playing well. Like they were able to come back from being down 3-1 against Vegas to beat them 4-3 in regulation. Very frustrating to watch, but they're a good team, man. Like they're a good team. And like this feels like one. I mean, I say this every year, but this feels like their last hurrah. You know what I mean?
If you keep repeating it, Miguel, eventually you'll have to be.
Eventually, I'll be right. Yeah, I agree.
I feel the same way about Pittsburgh. I feel like I've said they're going to miss the playoffs like the last 2 years, especially after they technically didn't make the playoffs in the bubble when they lost to Montreal in that weird playing around,
which won me like $100 because I bet on Montreal too.
There you go.
But yeah, that's my 2 picks. Who do you got falling out?
Man,
if anyone.
I think the Rangers are too good to miss. So I think they eventually get into one of the spots in the Metro. I think you're correct on Detroit. It's not their time yet. They do have a lot of interesting pieces, though. Larkin is good. The reigning Calder Trophy winner, Moritz Seider's good. Lucas Raymond good.
He's tearing it up now. Well, he started off cold from our fantasy team, and now he's tearing it up.
Yeah, so like they'll be fine. I think they're like New Jersey. They got a couple years down the road, and Steve Yzerman's good at building teams. Like, it's going to be a process for them. So if they miss, it's not the end of the world. You just want to see them get better.
End of the world as you know it.
I look at the 8, and in my head, I'm like, no way New York and Florida don't make it. But I look at it, and I'm like, I don't know who I'm kicking out besides Detroit. There's 2 teams for 1 spot in my head. Because I do think the Islanders are good enough defensively to just grind it out. Just grind it out.
To stay where they're at, pretty much.
Man. I'll say the Panthers are in, the Rangers are out. That's what my gut tells me. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like everything's clicking in New York right now. They have a lot of other issues. Like, it doesn't help that Jacob Trouba, got named captain and can't score a goal right now. Like, their defense is kind of weird. Shesterkin's even admitted that he hasn't played up to his Vezina caliber level like he did last year. So everything's just isn't clicking at the same time, and a lot of time's going by, and I know the Islanders only have a 3-point lead, but like, I don't see the Islanders going on a losing streak like I can see the Rangers going on a losing streak, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I feel you.
So I'll say Florida gets in, and it'll be Boston, Toronto, Tampa, New Jersey, Carolina, the Islanders, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers.
There you go.
Oh, no, and the Panthers. I'm sorry, and the Panthers.
And by the way, for me, teams that sneak in will be Rangers and Florida. Like, I have
those two have to be it. You know what I mean? And like, the Panthers have been playing without Barkov for a week or two right now, so like, that's rough.
It's gonna be crazy. Washington missing playoffs.
They've been so bad. You know how I know Washington's bad? They're worse than Montreal currently in the standings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Ovi's getting old.
Who cares? As long as Ovi gets the record, that's all Washington cares about right now.
At this point, honestly, they got their cup. Ovi
get the record.
Got his cup.
Get the record. Get the record. How about we get over to the West, Miguel? You want to do the Central first, Pacific last?
Of course.
Dallas fucking Stars. Jason Robertson, arguably the best player to start the year so far. Leads the league in goals. You're doing good if you can beat McDavid in any stats, and he's currently doing that with a goal scored. The team is good. They recently gave an extension to Rupe Hintz for 8 years.
Well, let's talk about this, since the whole show is going to be about playoffs and who gets in, who gets out.
Yeah.
Let's real quick. Rupe Hintz gets an extension of 8 years at, what was it?
Like $8 million? Pretty sure it was $8 million.
$8,450,000.
Okay.
Significantly more than Jason Robertson, who is leading
the team at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand Rupe's good.
Yes.
He's sneakily good at work, because no one cares about Dallas. No one pays attention to Dallas. He's been good for the last 2 seasons. No one's noticed. But how does he get way over $1 million more than Jason Robertson?
Well, it's timing. Because
I understand that Rupe signed an 8-year and Jason only signed a 2-year, but
4-year. It's 4-year at like barely 7, which is, talk about it becoming quickly one of the best contracts.
100%
in the league.
Up there. It is up there.
So it's timing, because Jason Robertson had to fit under the cap this year. Rupe Hintz doesn't start his extension until next year, so you can be like, all right, we have a little more money to play around with and everything. But that's basically it. Like, it's all about timing and when you have it. Like Dallas was screwed to have I don't want to call it a cap crunch, because they managed it pretty well with Ottinger and Robertson being restricted free agents at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and plus you own their rights, so it's a little bit more, you have a little more leeway. Like, no one's going to offer sheet. No one does it in this league unless you're Mark Bergevin, or the Carolina Hurricanes doing it for fucking revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why. Trust me, Miguel, it's frustrating to see these fucking players get below value. But I bet you if it was my team, I'd be like, this is a great deal. We snuck out like bandits. Like, the Kale McCarr contract's never going to make sense. 9.5 for him. Somehow 9.5 undervalued for Kale McCarr.
You know who didn't take a pay cut?
Who?
Nathan McKinnon.
No. And but again, McKinnon probably worth more.
We got into that earlier this year, but yeah.
Yeah, McKinnon probably worth more, you know what I mean? But Jason Robertson, one of the best players I think you could say he's top 3 right now. He's playing better than Matthews right now. I know Matthews eventually will figure it out. But, man, if he's not in he's probably top 2 with the way he's been playing. He's on pace. He's not going to hit it, but he's on pace for over 70 goals.
Oh, I know. He's not.
Could you imagine? Also, in 2022, just this calendar year, he's passed Austin Matthews in goals for this year. And Matthews won the fucking Rocket. Like, it's insane the kind of run Jason Robertson's been in. And you could see it reflected on the Dallas team. Like, Joe Pavelski is still pretty good. Like, Miro Heiskanen has been pretty good. Like, they haven't missed a beat. As long as Ottinger's playing well, anything can happen.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas, they've been good. DeBoer has worked out for Dallas.
Also, DeBoer works out for any first-year teams. Like, it worked well for New Jersey. It worked well for Vegas until it didn't. He has a good track record of year ones. It's years 3 and 4 that kind of get him in trouble.
Well, he's an offense-first coach. So, I mean...
And a lot of shots from the point when you have Joe Pavelski on the team is pretty good strategy.
Yeah, so we'll see, but they're good. I don't think they're for real, but we will get.
No, I think they're real. I think they're real, man. They're coming, and so we'll get to it. Let's talk about Dallas's old coach who got let go, old Rick Bowness, who has the second place Winnipeg Jets. Miguel, what do you make sense of the Winnipeg Jets? This is a team that I think is overachieving. This right here.
This team snuck up. I didn't realize they were this high until right now. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, just 2 points. Just 2 points back in Dallas. With two less games played.
I mean, as someone who has them on fantasy, Hellebuck's been great this year.
That should have been your first clue that this team's doing great.
Yeah, Hellebuck has been great. So.
Yeah,
I mean, good goaltending. At the end of the day, that's all you need.
I think that's where we can leave it off with Winnipeg. Like, they have good goaltending. Their defense is pretty good. Josh Morrissey's been playing really well this year. He's like an assist magnet on that team. Kyle Connor's still good. Kyle Connor. Nikolai Ehlers has been missing for most of the year, but when you look at them, you can just look at your fantasy team, look at how well Connor Hellebuck has been playing, and be like, it makes sense that they're in a playoff spot right now.
Yep.
Over to the Minnesota Wild. A lot of issues there over the offseason. Had to trade away Kevin Fiala to your Los Angeles Kings to make space because the buyouts for Parise and Suter, over $14 million there that they can't use. Fleury, Miguel, I think after a rough start, you owe your old pal Marc-Andre a little apology because he's been playing pretty good.
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, Minnesota in general has been okay. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, but Fleury has been playing well for them. And so, I mean, good for them. You know what I mean? I don't think Kaprizov is performing at the level we all thought. He should be, but he's been good. You know what I mean?
Look up Kaprizov's points totals because I think he's had a good year so far, and it's one of those things where you just don't pay attention to Minnesota, so we have no idea.
I do not,
because I got to be honest. The only time I'm looking up Minnesota Wild games is when they're playing your Los Angeles Kings, because I have no real investment in the Minnesota Wild outside of Kaprizov, I guess. Has he? Is he good? Is he good? He's good.
Actually,
I knew it. What's his total?
He has 32 points.
In
stupid.
How many games? 24 games? Oh, yeah. It's good. I'm telling you, Minnesota good because no one cares. No one cares.
My bad, Kaprizov. My bad.
He expects his apology in the mail. Over to the Pacific, Miguel, where your Las Vegas Golden Knights sits atop at the Pacific. Pretty handily. You haven't had really much challengers at the top of the West.
Even with they've had a rough go these last few weeks, and even then, they're still sitting comfortably. You know what I mean?
6-3-1 the last 10. Miguel,
Yeah.
you think 2 games in a row and the sky is falling.
Yeah, that's true. They lost to Seattle and Vancouver in very rough fashion, I might say.
It's fine. People lose bad games all the time. But they look good.
They just went on a 4-game road trip. They won 3 of the 4 games, and they should have beaten Pittsburgh, but they blew a 3-1.
They blew it.
Yeah.
But it happens. It happens. That stuff is always going to happen. Like, there's been so many multi-goal comebacks this season. I mean, yesterday, literally, Vancouver came back from 4-0 down to win that game in overtime. So
that's like so stupid. That game was so stupid. It came in no sense. Yeah. Then there was the LA Seattle game.
Don't get me started about that. We'll talk about that when I fucking get to LA because I have a lot of a lot of grievances with that game.
Yeah, I think Vegas is handily in this year. Like,
don't say that. Don't jinx yourself.
I know, but they're good. They're good spot. They're playing well. There's the big difference between this year and last year for Vegas, aside from injuries, of course. There is scoring all through 4 lines. I don't know if this remains true, but at a certain point in the season, not even certain point, like 2 weeks ago, they had the most double-digit like points getters in the league. Like the scoring is spread out more for Vegas than any other team in the league, and they're leading first in most first period goals too, by heavy-handedly too, which is crazy. They just get off to hot starts this year.
Yeah, they're plus 23 in goal differential, so they can score and all that stuff. If you had one concern for this great start that they've had, what is it, Miguel?
It's crazy because this was probably their biggest plus to start the season, and the last like 9 games, the defense. And this is before Petrangelo went out. Like the defense has not been great. Like, luckily the goalies, Aiden Hill and Logan, have shown up when they've been called upon, but.
Yeah, which if you were to tell me which one would surprise you and which one would you let you down, to be the other way around, defense is going to prop up the goaltending, and that's how you win games. But honestly, Logan Thompson, Aiden Hill.
Why? That's a shocker.
What?
That's a shocker. Yeah.
I guess getting out of San Jose is going to fix anybody's issues, but even he, I mean, I like what's like a safe bet would have been like, as long as he's like 900,
right? I said this early in the season, and now it's flipped. In the beginning of the season, Logan and Aiden, I don't think, and I said this on this podcast, I didn't think they were played well. The defense was just coddling them and protecting them, as a defense should with any goaltender. And now it's flipped, where the fucking defense has been awful. They've been many breakdowns, a lot of not necessarily breakaways, but a lot of like lost men just standing behind on the back door unattended, and Logan and Aiden have had to stand on their head a bit these last few games, and they have, especially Logan. Like, this kid, he won player of the year, rookie of the month last in November. I know there's this guy in Seattle who's playing very well, but I think Logan is on his, knock on wood, he's on his way to getting a Calder this year.
He's in the top 3. I wouldn't put him in the Calder because anytime goalies are in a race with forwards
that are scoring, I agree, because at the end of the day, everyone cares about who scores goals.
Yes,
but I will say this: I have been noticing that Logan is getting a lot of attention league-wise, where I don't think any Vegas player in the past has, except for Fleury. Or media, everyone's talking about Logan around the league. Like, even if you look on Twitter, if you look on Reddit, you shouldn't, but if you do, like, there's a lot of people hate Vegas. A lot of people hate Vegas.
I wonder why.
But all the people that hate Vegas do have respect for Logan. Everyone loves his story, like how close he was to quitting hockey, how he wasn't drafted, how like it was just crazy story. Now he's fucking the starting goalie for Vegas, and he is proving that he belongs here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it's just will it hold? Can it be consistent?
Exactly. I mean,
Goaltending is voodoo. Goaltending
it
is
is
voodoo.
voodoo. I agree. And one last thing I'll say before we move on about Logan, how great he is when they were playing against Columbus Blue Jackets, they were on the shootout. They've gone like 6 rounds deep, maybe 7 rounds deep. He makes the save, takes off his glove, signals over to the bench, 4-3, which is the number of Paul Cotter, he is apparently friends with because they played in the Silver Knights last year together. He signaled to the coach 4-3. So the coach puts in Paul Cotter and he scores the winner. And so and then a couple games before that, when Mark Stone had a breakaway, shootout, a penalty shot, he went over to Logan for any advice. He's like, "Oh, with this goalie, go 5-hole and it'll go in." Mark Stone goes 5-hole and he scores it. So Logan's he's been big. Like
one of the underrated things for a good hockey team, the power of friendship.
Exactly, I agree.
There does appear to be a weight lifted off Vegas currently. We'll see, because every team is going to run into a cold streak, and I think that's when we'll finally learn something.
Oh yeah, and I mean, even last year when Vegas was good, the team never looked this happy. Like it seems like there's no animosity. There's no like hotheads. It seems like everyone's just cool. Everyone's friendly, and of course, winning does that. Winning definitely does create a good locker room. But even then, last year to start the season, Vegas was good. People forget, but they were actually really good. And
they were good until they weren't.
The energy never felt this positive last year. I'll say that at any point.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree.
Like even when they lose, it didn't feel like the team was like, "Oh fuck!" Like blaming each other, angry. They're just like, "Oh, we lost. That sucks. We'll get it next time.
We'll get it back." Yeah,
exactly. Which is the attitude you need.
That was the big difference for LA last year. Like you've never felt they were completely out of it, and if they lost, all right, bounce back.
Yeah.
But
we can move on then.
Talk about a bounce back season. Miguel, the Seattle Kraken sit at number 2. Who saw this coming?
These guys can score. I mean, that's plain and simple. They know how to score goals.
Also, they're not letting in that many goals as they used to.
Yeah, for sure.
Martin Jones has been somehow the savior of this team. Like he's come back down to earth. He's around 900, but for the first months of the year, I think he was the best goalie, arguably in October, a little bit into November.
I know he wasn't there last year, but I still gotta say this. Look what happens when you get out of San Jose.
Apparently.
I know he wasn't there last year, but
I mean, he was in Philly, so you can kind of say the same thing. Where just get.
Wasn't he dealing with injuries in Philly, anyways?
I mean, he was. I mean, my biggest thing is that he just got burnt out in San Jose, and again, the weight of losing, I think is a big thing. And we'll talk about that when we get to other teams that I feel like is the same impact. But if you have to make that many starts consistently and you're not getting the results or of the expectations set on you by media, fans, and yourself, it's gonna weigh on you. And I think that's what happened to Martin Jones. Like we saw it with Cam Talbot finally going to Minnesota when he rejuvenated his career after he got burnt out in Edmonton. So it happens to goalies. Like they just somehow forget to goalie for a couple years or 1 year, and it just takes a good situation for them to finally bounce back. And that's kind of happened to them. Although Martin Jones, let's be honest, Martin Jones kind of coming back to earth. But he's not a liability anymore, which I think he was at the end of his San Jose run.
For sure. I mean, the good thing is they got 2 good goalies, so they are spreading the job amongst the 2. So I don't think Martin Jones will get burned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it would help them if they can get Philip Grubauer kind of back to
the problem. The problem I think the concern in Seattle now, while they're pretty heavily decently in, they're in good spot, they're playing well, they're young, is they lack defense. That team lacks defense, like hard.
They have decent defense. I think it's deep, but there's no top pair. You know what I mean? Like, I
And
like a lot of their
the
pieces.
problem is when you get to the playoffs, you're not winning 9-8 games. That's just not happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not going to play a 9-8 game in the unless you're Edmonton and Calgary, I guess.
Exactly. That's the exception, though. That's not the rule, you know?
Yeah. Currently, okay, so yeah, my big fears on them again is kind of back. Martin Jones, 18 games played, 290, which is good, but save percentage 893. Philip Grubauer, 7 games played, 2-2-1, 3.4 goals allowed, 868. Man, for a guy who was nominated for the Vezina 2 years ago, what a steep drop off.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, they're scoring. Like, they added Andrei Burakovsky. Jarek Matan is still pretty good, leading the team in goals. We'll see. They are a team that can kind of run 4 lines. There's no like superstar. Shane Wright. Matty Beniers is kind of going into his own. They have to figure out what they have with Shane Wright, their 4th overall draft pick this year. But they are probably this year's biggest example of just team. You have good team. Doesn't matter if you don't have any extended parts. Team can get you there. You want to move over?
Yeah, let's go to your Los Angeles Kings.
Currently 3rd in the Pacific, but if you were to tell me, you would I would have to learn and feel that this team is way out of the playoffs, because that's what the rumblings feel like currently in LA land. That 9-8 game to Seattle broke me in more ways than I could. Because it wasn't, that whole game was just stupid. Kopitar scores 13 seconds in. Great. But the defense again gets let down repeatedly. They're able to come back, lose in overtime with a too many men penalty, 4-on-3 overtime. That was a culmination of the entire season so far. It's the complete opposite from last year, Miguel. Yeah. Last year the Kings couldn't score. This year they can. Last year the Kings could defend. This year they can't. Goaltending is what it is, but I look at Jonathan Quick's numbers and Cal Peterson, who now got sent down to fucking Ontario, and I don't think it's completely their fault. Cal Peterson has a whole different set of issues. His confidence is gone. Oddly enough, if you were to tell me like who he mirrors the most, when he first got into the league, he was like Logan Thompson. Like, I think in his 3rd start ever in his career, he had a 50 save game. Yeah. Like he was a wall, and goaltending is weird. And last season he had a good one, and this year it kind of followed up more, where he doesn't look confident in anything that he does, and every goal that goes in, he looks dejected. But the defense isn't helping him, just like they're not helping Jonathan Quick. It's mistakes. Game 1 against Vegas, when Sean Durzi turns over the puck that led to the last minute win, that's kind of continued ever since then. You think they're in the driver's seat, you think everything's fine, and then it isn't.
Yeah.
They're scoring over 4 goals a game this year, or like high 3s, but they're giving up over 4 goals a game the entire game. You can't let in 9 goals. Like, even if they won that game against Seattle, bad. Horseshit. Absolute garbage. If they win, that would have been the one time a win would have upset me.
Those are not wins you feel proud about, for sure.
No,
those are concerning, whether you lose or you win. Like,
it's the way they're losing that they're concerning. I don't mind them losing, because they're still, honestly, I've been looking at it, comparing it to last year. They're still ahead of pace of where they were points wise last year, same games played.
Yeah,
they're ahead of pace. The first season was just one big winning streak and a couple losing streaks, and they were trying to figure out from there. This team, it's crazy to think about, Miguel, but I could honestly say this team is more talented than last year's. But I can 100% see them missing the playoffs. But I think they won't, because they have fought back. It's just the mistakes and when they do it. It's the Mike Smith effect from the playoffs, Miguel. Mike Smith, great for 47 minutes, right? But
Yeah.
soon as 47:01 hits, he forgets to play goalie for 10 seconds, and that's all it takes. And that's kind of how they feel right now. They need to figure out. They probably need to make a trade. Byfield being sick and losing 30 pounds, not ideal.
Man, I need to get sick.
I would have recommended. He looked. I remember he did a conference back when he got sent back to Ontario.
Yeah.
He looked like a completely different person coming back. And it's been a rough start for him. The talent's still there. I've been watching his AHL games. The talent's still there. It's the Gabe Velarde issue where, thank God, he's having a breakup year this year, but injuries will derail you and stun your development. But consistency, that's what you want. You know what I mean? I do know how you fix this team. It's defense, they need to trade for somebody probably. But it's really weird being down on a team that's in a playoff spot right now.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because Calgary and Edmonton are chasing them, and McDavid can change everything by himself. I don't know. I keep thinking they're better than Seattle, but then I look at Seattle, I'm like, they're not. Not right now. That's where I'm at with LA. It's been very confusing.
Now, the wild card.
I think we could lump them in together. Edmonton, Colorado. Both teams suffering injuries. Nathan McKinnon.
Officially out 4 weeks. It just got announced a little like 20, 30 minutes
ago. Man.
So 4 weeks is a lot of time. It's a lot of games.
On top of who they're already missing, Miguel. They're missing Arturi Lehkonen, Val Nichushkin, who might come back soonish because I think he started skating again. Bowen Byram's been out. Gabe Landeskog hasn't played this year at all. That's a lot of injuries to deal with. But even with all that, they're still in a playoff spot currently.
Yeah, but 4 weeks of missing your captain can knock you out of the playoffs.
He's the assistant captain.
Oh, sorry, you're right.
Landeskog is the captain who hasn't played at all. So, but
missing your best player for 4 weeks can knock you out of the playoffs.
Other side, Edmonton. I mean, I love that game that that when they played Vegas in Edmonton, or they played Edmonton in Vegas, right? Was that the overtime game?
Edmonton and Vegas, yes.
And it's basically like, oh, I can't wait. 3-on-3 with fucking Connor McDavid. This will go well. And you just, that goal was like, it's you can't even get mad at that kind of loss. You're just like,
no, I wasn't angry. I was not angry. I was angry because Vegas had multiple chances to finish it.
Yeah, and of course McDavid gets one.
They were all over Edmonton at the end of the third period. They just couldn't get it in. And I knew if this goes to overtime, it's over.
So, yeah, McDavid,
and literally Vegas, I remember that day. Vegas and LA lost. Mm-hmm. Probably within like 5 seconds
5 seconds of each other, yeah.
It's crazy. Both in overtime.
Yep. Oh, man. But McDavid and Draisaitl, they're good enough to get this team to the playoffs. Evander Kane out for a lot longer still after suffering that scary cut.
He's out for the season, right?
No, he'll probably out till like January, maybe February.
Okay.
But you can see how much Kane matters to this team. This team doesn't have a lot of depth, and that defense is bad.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with Edmonton. They have zero depth. I mean, we knew that. We've known that. But yeah. Fuck, it's bad.
It's more evident now that it's happening.
Yeah. And you miss Evander Kane, who isn't your best player, who isn't your second best player. You can argue he's your third best player, but even I doubt that because I would put Hyman over.
Yeah, I would too.
Over Kane.
Just because Hyman doesn't score as much, but he does a lot of other things.
He does everything else, though. Yeah. He's a good two-way. He's probably your fourth best player, and that's enough to derail you because you're barely clinging onto a wild card spot.
Yeah.
You haven't been consistent. They're 5-5 in their last 10. That's rough.
It's been rocky. And Jack Campbell, God, Miguel, I may be wrong about a lot of things, but I told you, I do not like this matchup with Jack Campbell going to Edmonton because of his confidence.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's happening right now.
Yep.
Jack Campbell's playing with no confidence.
Jack Campbell needed a team that could coddle him, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not saying it in a bad way. Sometimes you just need your goalie needs their confidence boosted so that they can play well.
Yeah, and Toronto wasn't the place to get that confidence up. He lost it basically by the end of that for him. And now he's in a situation where Edmonton, like, he was looked at the guy like, oh, we finally have goaltending now, and you don't. He's been getting outplayed by Stuart Skinner, who's also fine. I think he's okay.
And this fan base turns on you. These Canadian fan bases will turn on you so fast.
They want to win. I respect it. They want to win. But it doesn't look good. And Ken Holland's already kind of shown himself that he's not going to make a big trade.
Yeah.
Like, Evander Kane fell into his lap.
Oh, for sure.
So
they're the ones that didn't care to touch him.
I'm not giving him credit for that. He also signed Cody Ceci, which I know he's been fine for them, but I don't like it. Tyson Barrie, it's fine. I don't like it, but like, they need to do something to improve the team, and I don't know if Ken Holland is the guy to do that. Because if you're not going to do it during Draisaitl and McDavid's prime, I don't know when the other best time to do it is. Like, when do you pull the trigger? Like, it has to be now.
I agree. So, Eric, who gets in and who gets out?
My gut feeling has always been 5 teams from the Pacific get in, 3 teams from the Central. I think Winnipeg falls out. Calgary moves in, and that's all we get. Well, yes, because then Colorado goes up, gets the top 3 spot once they get healthy. They just get it weather the storm. Winnipeg falls out, and you have Vegas, Seattle, LA, Edmonton, and Calgary. And then in the Central, you get Dallas, Minnesota, and Colorado.
I'm looking at it, and for me, it's tough. It is tough, but I'm gonna say Edmonton falls out, and Calgary gets in, and that's where it's at.
You think that would make up for losing in the second round to them?
I think so.
If Calgary's the reason that Edmonton misses the playoffs,
I mean, it'd be funny. Edmonton only gets in once every like 4 years.
Yeah,
every 4
like
or 5
the World
years.
Cup. It's like the World Cup.
Yeah.
I don't hate that.
As much as like, I'm with you. I don't think Winnipeg is legit, but I think Hellebuck is, and I think Hellebuck will get them in the playoffs. Because Hellebuck,
I know,
until proven otherwise, Hellebuck he Anaheim and Gibson. Gibson's usually he's not this year, but he usually starts out hot, carries his team, and then collapses.
Let's talk about prime Gibson, 17, 18 John Gibson.
Gibson, exactly. Where I think that's still Hellebuck. Hellebuck right now, he is good enough, that good to carry this team the whole season to the playoffs before he collapses in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, he could be like Markstrom last year. I mean, you're just describing him with Calgary, so. Man. No, I'm sticking to it.
And with Edmonton, with Calgary, Colorado's so hurt and a bit of a cup hangover. And Minnesota just they're good, they're just not there. They missed their window and they're just clinging on to what they have. I just don't see Winnipeg falling out.
Nah, Winnipeg out. I'm sticking with it. I do like your argument because I do think Hellebuck is that good to drag a team into the playoffs, but I've been saying 5 teams from the Pacific, 3 from the Central since the start, and I'm not backing down from it, and I'm not going against Jason Robertson or Kirill Kaprizov, so by that training thought, it has to be Winnipeg.
Also, it's crazy. Fucking Pacific has 2 teams of negative plus.
I know in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's wild. That is wild.
Miguel, at the time of this recording, LA 5, Ottawa 1. So we're just gonna be a sweet -1 if this score holds, and we don't blow it. So it's been not good. When the Kings lose, they lose big, and when they win, it's by 1 goal.
No, you'd be a clean 0 at the moment. Oh no, you're right. You're right. My bad.
Yeah,
You're right. You're
it's
doing
4.
-1. I was looking at Edmonton's negative -4.
Yeah, they're just bad.
Or one more, be a perfect 0.
There's still 17 minutes in the third at the time of this recording, so let's fingers crossed we're a clean 0. Although the last time they were 0, they lost to Pittsburgh like 6-1. So I'm not holding my breath.
If I want you to do this, because this will
after.
happen before the podcast releases to the people. If LA wins 6-1, perfect balance. You gotta put that Thanos gift.
Perfectly balanced. I'll do it.
Perfectly balanced. Without no
context.
No context. You can probably hashtag LA King. That's it. But
well, I'll Photoshop in like the scoreboard and everything. But that's about it.
Yeah, on the knife, you Photoshop the scoreboard.
There you go.
Perfectly balanced.
By the way, can we do before we finish? I've been playing Marvel Snap. I just got Thanos. Yeah. I'm excited to build a deck around him.
I still haven't gotten Thanos. I don't think.
I just got him. I'm lucky.
Nice. Good luck. Good work.
Miguel, good seeing you again.
Always good seeing you, Eric.
Send us home, buddy.
I am Miguel. You can find me at Miguel Kicks all over the internet. And you can go look for Collector's Lobby on YouTube.
That's over 5,000 views the last video.
5.1 as of this morning. So it's
hey, listener at home, make it 5.101. Come on.
There you go. Eric, where can the people find you?
I guess Twitter's still around, huh? It's Instagram, Twitter.
I know, it didn't die.
@_ Erick Oriana. That's _ERICKORELLANA. I did join Hive because I saw a bunch of people doing it. And guess who has his handle without a goddamn underscore? So I hope it takes off.
I don't even know what Hive is.
It's kind of like Instagram. It's kind of like Twitter.
Okay.
I like it. It's cool. There's not a lot of stuff on there yet, but the interface pleases me. Nice. But if it does take off, I'm ready.
I'll create it just so I can.
Yeah, no, that's what I did. All I did was create it, and I basically post the same shit over there that I do on Twitter.
There you go. Either way, for those watching or listening, thank you so much. We really do appreciate each and every single one of you. So for us here at Collector's Lobby,
Lobby. Why won't you hold on? Why won't you put me on Collector's Lobby? Why could I be a Collector's Lobby?
You will be on there soon. We'll put you on there soon.
Yeah. Can that be my wedding present?
Yes. For us here at Pacific Revision, we hope you have a wonderful day. Peace.
Goodbye.